Hi, my name is Ty, and have you ever thought about becoming an online English teacher? Well, I did, and I get asked about it a lot, so I've decided to compile everything that you need to know about becoming an online English teacher as a South African in this video. I will include everything you need, how to get a job, how much you can make, and at the end, I'll give you some need-to-knows, including some things that I wish I knew before I started teaching English online. So, here you go. Without further ado, what do you need to know about becoming an online English teacher? So, first things first, what do you need? You need the right hardware. So, you need a good laptop or a good PC, and the reason I say good is because you can get done with one that's a little bit weaker, but it will lead to a lot of frustrations. So, good laptop, good PC. You need a camera. They need to be able to see you clearly. The built-in camera in most laptops is not good enough. They do want you to have a nice clear camera. They can range around 500 Rand to 1,000 Rand, anywhere between there. The third thing you need is a microphone. So I do recommend for this one that you actually get a headset with a built-in microphone, as that is a requirement for some jobs. Not all of them, but I have seen ones that ask for headphones specifically. And the fourth thing you need is a reliable power supply. We have been load shedding free for quite some time now, but just in case you do need a backup power supply, I've used phone data before, so you just need to have some kind of backup plan, because if you don't, it will look really bad and you will start losing classes. The fifth thing you need is just a quieter teaching environment. It doesn't have to be perfectly quiet, but for example, you can't have dogs running around barking at you or kids climbing on you and screaming. You do need a secluded space to teach. The next thing you need, and the only qualification you really need to teach English online, is called a TEFL. It stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. These ones, they come in many shapes and forms and many different price ranges. I highly recommend you do not do an expensive one. I have yet to see a job that asks for a specific kind of TEFL. Full disclosure, I paid around 250 Rand for my TEFL, and it has been more than enough. I've had zero issues. I've never seen somebody ask for a different kind or a specific kind of TEFL. They just want a TEFL. So I have also linked the exact same TEFL that I did in my bio. This is an affiliate link, so if you use it, I get a couple of bucks, and you get 5% off on top of this already comparatively much cheaper price. So there you go. Now you have everything you need to start teaching English online. Alright, now that you have what you need, how do you actually go about getting a job? So on the TEFL site, like the one I just told you about, there will be some job postings. I applied for these when I first did my TEFL, and I heard nothing back. So that is kind of a foreshadowing for how it might go a little bit in the beginning. But fortunately, nowadays, I see a lot more TEFL and teaching English online job postings. So I see about 10, 7, 5 a day. And most of these, you will not hear something back. That's just kind of the name of the game. But a lot of them I have heard back from. So there are many job postings. Just look on LinkedIn. Indeed is another site. My job I actually got through a Facebook advertisement and my sister referring me to it. So just keep your eyes peeled, look around. You will be able to find some job listings. Apply to them. If you don't hear anything back, apply to another one. That's just kind of how it goes. Alright, so now that you've started applying to the jobs, something you need to know is that in general, I've noticed two trends. It is that there are jobs where you only work from Monday to Friday, more of a typical work week. These jobs tend to pay less. They pay around $6 an hour, which is, I guess, rounded down to like 100 Rand an hour. While there are jobs that extend over the weekend, like mine, they pay a bit more, up to around $12, which is what I make. So that's obviously depending on exchange rate, about 200 Rand an hour. So that is your range. It really depends on what kind of job you opt for. I opted for the working on weekends ones because I wanted to make more money. Quite simple. So that one is up to you. Look around, decide. I do recommend thinking about it a bit more than I necessarily did, because working every day over weekends can get kind of exhausting, and it does lead to a bit of burnout. So just something to keep in mind. Really think about it. But yeah, more money is more money at the end of the day. Some other need to knows is that you will most likely not be earning rand, you will be earning dollars, as most of these companies are international companies, which means that your monthly salary is affected a lot by the exchange rate. So there have been months where the rand completely tanked, and I actually made more money that month because of the higher exchange rate. While if the rand is doing better, I ended up making less money. So that is something to keep in mind, that your salary does have that extra factor of exchange rate as well as forex tax. So you pay more tax because your money is coming from outside the country. So also something to keep in mind. Another interesting one to keep in mind that I had no idea about is that your paycheck will probably arrive on a random day instead of the end of the month. So they are used to getting paid at the end of the month, but because of how long the cycle of payment is, because parents have to pay the international school has to then send the money to South Africa. South African bosses, or at least, like, for example, at my school, a South African boss receives that money and then pays you. So there is quite a long cycle to getting paid, which results in my payday being on the 15th of the month. So if you are somebody that is not necessarily very good at managing your money and your monthly salary, that is something to keep in mind. I, for example, have to receive my money, put the money somewhere else so that I don't use it, and then pay my bills at the end of the month. So also just something to keep in mind. One more thing that I wanted to touch on was the inconsistency of the job. So this job fluctuates a lot. I change classes pretty much every 2 weeks, so classes fall away, new classes come, they change times, kids go on vacation, kids go to a new school, and so they stop having classes with you. So there are a lot of factors at work, so you really do need to be adaptable. This is something I struggled with a lot in the beginning, to be honest. I don't think I was necessarily very prepared for it, but it is something important. It is the reality of this job, so just something to keep in mind as well. Two more things that I just thought of that are also very important to keep in mind is that when it comes to coursework and the actual teaching that you're doing, some companies do give you coursework to teach, some companies don't, and you just have to kind of provide your own. Some companies are somewhere in the middle. So for example, my company gives I guess you can say, a skeleton of a lesson, and you fill it in with work that you find yourself and examples and questions and stories, etc. So it can be very varied. Some of them, like I said, give you coursework and it's complete and you just present it. Other ones expect you to provide them yourself. Some companies are in the middle. Alright, so the juicy part. I'm gonna give you some numbers, as I believe like this is something important to know if you're contemplating about doing this as your job. So, like I said, depending on which style of company you take, $6 an hour versus $12 an hour. I will be honest, most of them are to the lower range, but let's work on the assumption that you get like a high-paying one around $12. These schools will end up paying you anywhere between 12 to 17 after tax. So there is a big range because there are a lot of factors that can play into it. How many classes you get. For example, at my school, if students cancel, I do not get paid. So depending on how that system works at your school. The exchange rate, what time of year it is another big one that I wasn't aware of. For example, I work for a Chinese company. Come Lunar New Year, everybody takes off, nobody gets money. as well as around this time of year, ranging from June, July to August, they also have a summer vacation. This time period also is a bit slower, so you also make a bit less money. So there are a lot of factors that play into it, but that is around the rough range I can give you if you are a busy teacher. Another disclaimer there. If you are a busy teacher, let's say you do at least one to two classes every day, this is the range you can make. Obviously, in the beginning, you start out at like the bottom tier and you have to earn classes by just quite frankly doing a good job, being on time. This job also includes admin. So for example, I keep track of the classes I have, homework, all of that stuff, and I send it all in. So if you do a good job, you get more classes. If you don't do such a good job, you get less classes. It's kind of just how it works. And there you have it. That is everything that you need to know, some stuff that I wish I knew about how to become an online English teacher in South Africa. So as I said, if you are interested in this, the first step really is doing your TEFL. And like I said, in the bio of this video, there is a link to the exact same TEFL that I did. If you use it, I get a little bit of money and you get 5% off. If you don't want to use this one, that's perfectly fine, but I do recommend not going for an expensive one. You will regret it. So there you go. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.